Three, two, one. We are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Inside Enduro podcast show with me, your host, James Stearns. Today, we are brought to you by Inside Enduro Media. You can catch us on Instagram at inside_enduro. And we're on iTunes, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. If you're listening to us or watching us right now, I think you already found it. So great success. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to get the outlook of a younger rider, a guy in development, doing all the hard enduro scene, doing some fast racing, kind of the new breed, if you will, doing trials, enduro, hard enduro. And today I'd like to welcome James Flynn. He's a Gas regional support rider. We just finished up at Rev Limiter. Obviously, everyone's talking about that, so we probably won't totally go crazy about Rev Limiter, but we'll touch on it a little bit. And yeah, looking forward to getting the input and the view of someone who's kind of taken this from the beginning with all the different disciplines.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. I haven't really had an opportunity to go on and talk about it with kind of publicly before, and you know, it's exciting. I think the sport's growing and evolving along with myself, and so I'm excited.
Super. Yeah, I think one of the similarities or parallels, and I think it's happening with a lot of sports, obviously with the popularity of MMA, it was kind of interesting that you had wrestlers, then you had jiu-jitsu guys, and you had boxers, and you had all these disciplines cross-training to make the most lethal combination, right?
Yeah.
And now, since enough time has gone by and there's been enough development, you have essentially the next generations are training specifically all of them. So they've come from a young enough age where they weren't a boxer, they weren't a wrestler, they weren't a jiu-jitsu guy. But what they've done is they've trained MMA wrestling from the beginning, MMA striking from the beginning, MMA jiu-jitsu from the beginning. So again, if you look at enduro or hard enduro, you have guys that were trials guys that converted over to hard enduro, which gave us Graham Jarvis, gave us Paul Bolton, Billy Bolt, Johnny Walker, a ton of these guys who were trials based, and then they converted over to hard enduro. And now we're starting to see, we talked about it the other night, a lot of people don't realize Erzberg Rodeo, hard enduro.
Yeah.
This year's the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like it's getting bigger and bigger every year. Not just through kind of the motocross community, or the enduro community, but just like worldwide with everybody, even people that aren't into dirt bikes. They see the videos that Red Bull's posting and everyone's posting. They're like, man, that's gnarly. Because it is. I mean, you're pushing this 230-pound motorcycle up these mountains. And yeah, to the outside world, that's gnarly.
Oh, no doubt. So, you know, these cats have had a 25-year jump.
Yeah.
A lot of the races here in the United States are only 2-3 years old. And now we're starting to see guys like yourself who are essentially doing trials, doing hard enduro, racing normal enduro, maybe racing even a little motocross now and then, cross-training all these different disciplines to essentially make yourself a more effective hard enduro rider.
Yeah, and that is the goal. Is I do try to train everything, and I try to ride every form of dirt bike riding there is. And so I'll ride trials once a week, and I'll go to the motocross once a week, or the motocross track once a week, and I'll go ride trails too, and I'll do turn tracks. I'll try to do everything. You know, kind of, it's all like one big puzzle. It kind of adds together. You know, trials, it's your technical skill, and then motocross really helps with aggression, and yeah, it all just kind of carries into one thing.
Do you find the switch of when you're in a competition or you're out riding where your technique switches. It's almost like being bilingual or trilingual, because people ask me, they're like, hey, at this point, somebody said you're supposed to grip the bike with your legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah. And there are certain situations you need to grip the bike with your legs, but in certain hard enduro situations, you don't want to grip the bike hard with your legs.
You want to stay loose on the bike.
That's right.
And let it go where it kind of wants to go, essentially. But yeah, for sure. Like kind of in off-road, sometimes you'll be leaning a little more up on the bike in faster sections, and then racing hard enduro and Endurocross, your butt's always on that fender. You're always leaning back to get all that traction you possibly can. And it does change over. And with that also too, like in hard enduros, sometimes you'll be a little less aggressive because you're out there forever and it's just a survival game, to where, you know, like a AMRA race, it's 2 hours long and it's not, the terrain's not super gnarly, so you're sprinting for that 2 hours. Unlike, like I said, in a hard enduro, you're just kind of just trying to get through it, surviving. So,
well, there's no doubt when we see, I call them the transfer sections. If you really hang it out there on a transfer section, which for most is, some of them can be fairly technical, but not as gnarly, obviously, as the big stuff.
Yeah.
Say you hang it out there and you make a couple seconds up on somebody, but if you pooch the feature, you're there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You will never make that up in transfer sections, knocking off a second here and a second there. All you're doing is putting yourself in danger.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, if you are really hanging it out there, by the time you get to the next feature, if your hands are a little smoked, or if you're a little, you know, you don't have all your faculties at the ready, and you screw up that feature, or you screw up that hill, and you have to spend the extra energy to push or go back down and start again.
Yeah.
It's massive. The time loss is massive.
Yeah. And I experienced that a lot last week in Texas, but we don't gotta get into that.
So what did you learn if you had to do it over again? And that's the cool thing is, you're 17 years old, you're developing all these skills, you're in a gnarly game.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing is you have time on your side and you get to learn from these experiences. So.
Yeah. Texas, honestly, I didn't do very well at all at Rev Limiter, but it was for sure a learning experience. And so I'm trying to look at it like that. It was a learning experience. I'm trying to be positive about it, and which it was. Definitely learned a lot of things. Every hard enduro I show up to, is a learning experience. And kind of Texas, I kind of learned that sometimes trying to get around bottlenecks and stuff like that, it's not super smart to just go and take like a super gnarly line that nobody else is trying, because then you'll just end up being there forever. But
yeah, you pay a price. You pay a price. Sure. And funny enough, and from my own experience, my results have become significantly better by relaxing and being more calculative. And I was the same way. You think, hey, I got to get past these guys.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So you pick some super gnarly line, and I'll tell you, if Cody Webb hasn't ridden up it or someone else hasn't ridden up it,
it's just not worth it.
There's a good chance that maybe you're not going to be successful with it.
Yeah.
And so it's
if you are, it takes you 45 minutes to get up it when you could have gone, a little to the left and you would have gone up it in 30 seconds.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, and again, you have to add in, if you get smoked from pushing or having to do some serious, as we call bike judoka, moving that taekwondo judo with your bike, you get to the top and man, you're hosed and you're trying to regroup, and you have another feature, another climb coming.
And so you show up to that next feature and it's kind of like the similar deal. You're so tired, you don't even want to go up it with proper form. You just want to kind of get up it. And so you bulldog your way up it and don't go up it correctly, and might even end up pushing on that next obstacle, and then you're even more smoked, and I don't know, it just kind of all snowballs, and next thing you know, you're just pooped.
Well, I think everyone has only so many super pushes in them.
Yeah.
like strikes in baseball, and and once you have enough super pushes, it can be it takes its toll for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I think you hit a really good point too, and again, I think that is on the mental toughness side of just being conscientious of what's going on with your energy expenditure. Like you said, when you come around, and this isn't just hard enduro. I think it's for all riding, whether you're riding with your buddies or whatever, because everybody has the disease. When you ride with a group of guys, say you're just recreational riding, no one wants to be last.
No.
So, it's like, all right, well, I gotta get up this hill. So you just hit it, and you may not be feeling it. You may be tired. You may be smoked. Your hands, you may not have control of your hands. You may have arm pump.
Yeah. And
you just look up and give it the gas and see what happens, which is not the right idea. So
yeah,
it seems counterintuitive, but if you're in that condition, sometimes the best option is to take a little break.
Yeah.
Check out the lines, think about your technique.
Yeah.
Think about how you want to attack it, where your butt's going to be. Are your legs loose?
Yeah. It's almost like you're regrouping with yourself.
That's right.
I don't know. That is the smart way to do it. And I think, even if you have to do it like that for a few races, eventually it'll get to the point to where everything's natural and you can look at a hill and just do it. And as soon as you look at it, you see the exact line you want to do, and you know everything you need to do to get up that hill.
You would hope so.
Yeah, well, I think with experience that'll all come.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Jarvis.
I don't know that he gets flustered.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody gets flustered and you start pushing it, the proverbial shit uphill.
Yeah.
Then it all starts to unravel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
just gotta stay relaxed.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things that I had to do in concerning that is believing in myself that if I was thoughtful about it and I stuck to the technique, and simply if someone was in front of you, I didn't try to chase them, and if someone was behind me,
didn't try to get away.
I didn't try to run from them.
Yep.
I just had to believe that if I rode it, my skill and my style, to the best of my ability, that at the end of the race, of the event, I would place where I should be.
For sure.
And that was super hard for me.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really easy to say, but it's so easy to take that bait.
Yeah.
And once you take it and you kind of either gas out or big adrenaline pump, arm pump,
definitely,
then you're in the deep end.
Yeah, and you just get pooped, and the next thing you know, your whole race is just done. You're just
struggle bus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, but
it is. But again, I think that's what makes it so interesting.
It's kind of like strategy in a way, and yeah, a lot of it is mental, and just knowing you can go out there and just telling yourself like, I can do this. I can do this. I know I can do this without getting tired, and just staying relaxed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sometimes more easily said than done.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely.
But again, I think that's a lot of starts, having a lot of race starts, and having that confidence of how long you can go, and learning how to govern yourself. Again, like you look at MMA, you see one of those guys that just comes out swinging and they gas out. And if they gas out, they could be twice as good as the other guy, but they're done. They're a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Here's this great athlete, but they gassed out and they're just going to get destroyed.
Yeah, definitely.
That is the worst feeling on a dirt bike. I've been there many, many, many times.
Yeah.
Arm pump, just not cardiovascular smoke, but I think a lot of it is after the adrenaline dump if you take that bait and you go into that fight mode.
Yeah.
And then after you have that adrenaline dump, there's a period of time that for me it could last 30 minutes to an hour where you're just handicapped.
Yeah.
And then you get it back and then you're able to take off and make up space. But
yeah,
if you never did that, I think you're better.
Definitely.
Better all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. And that happens to me not just in hard enduro, but honestly even in some of these off-road races, like in the local Amber series, where like mid-race I'll be in like second place, and then I'm like, all right, this is it. I gotta give it all I got, and give it all I got, and then a few minutes later I'm just like pooped. And I just kind of stay calm and collective, and it ends up working out sometimes.
Yeah, something to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I remember Johnny Walker has said it a lot of times in his races. I pushed it. I started pushing it until I started making mistakes.
Yeah. And
then I backed off. And I think it's important to have some type of a safe word, I guess, is when you start making mistakes that you have the ability to recognize it and say, hey, I need to get back to my home, my flow state, whatever that is. But it just seems so counterintuitive.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You're thinking, man, I just got to give it more throttle.
Yeah.
More throttle.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I know it's tough, but like I said, I just feel like experience it all will just come together eventually.
Yeah. I mean, do you have anything you use to try to reel it in, to try to calm yourself down or be in the kind of the flow state of mind?
No, but I probably should. That'd be a good idea. Because, man, just at these races, just getting too excited. Even on the starting line before the race, you're just getting too pumped up. And as soon as you go out, you're like a bat out of hell. And you just get like so pumped up so fast. It just sucks.
I get it. I like to try to find things to make myself home in.
Yeah.
And anchor points, home points.
Yeah.
Basically no different than being, say, neutral position on the dirt bike.
Yeah.
As you're always, you're managing chaos. So you're trying to find that your neutral position. But say mentally, you can look at like the Hindu cow, calm as a Hindu cow.
Yeah.
And that calmness it's just so much relaxation, and the arm pump doesn't come, and you just don't have that. I call them shark eyelids. When a shark attacks a baby seal, it has those eyelids that come over that protect its eyes.
Yeah.
But they're like opaque, so they really can't see.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what I'd go into. I'd go into shark attack mode, and bad things would happen.
Yeah.
Just because you're trying to rip it. And but no, it's hard because, as you said, when you get on that line, all the training you've done, you want to lay it down.
Oh yeah.
And you want to compete.
And I don't know why. I used to do this a lot when I first started racing. Is I would get on the line, and I don't know why. I just look around, and I don't know what it was. If it was just the bikes firing up or what, I would get so excited. And I'll tell you what, within the first 5 minutes, I would just get so pumped up, and then I'd kind of come back and I'd relax and just kind of chill out a little bit. And
while you're still on the line, or after you started?
After I started.
But so how long do you think it would take you?
Honestly, about 30 minutes probably.
That's what I was talking about.
That first 25 minutes, probably you're just so pumped up, and then probably from the 25 to 30 minute mark, you're like, okay, I just need to relax. Or even some races, I'll show up and on the line I'll get super nervous or super excited, but as soon as the flag drops, I'm totally calm.
Yeah.
It varies. It depends on the race. It's so weird. Some days, one thing will go one way, and then some days one thing will go another way. And I think that kind of comes with being mentally strong too. Just being able to show up to a race and tell yourself like, I can beat these guys, and that's something I struggle with sometimes myself, and kind of everyone realizes it, or everyone around me sees that, all my friends, and everyone says like, yo, you need to be mentally stronger, and it's tough to do. I work on it for sure, but
Well, it's another one of those things. Is it seems so simple, but typically it's a lot more complex.
yeah,
So somebody says, be mentally strong. I love it, but it's so general.
yeah,
Mentally strong can be really complicated.
yeah.
Is it a switch that you turn on? I don't think so.
It's not something I can't just wake up and be super confident.
I'm mentally strong.
Yeah. Everyone's like, you need to stop getting in your head. It's like, I can't just do that. I can't just wake up one morning and be a totally different person.
Yeah, it's such a blanket statement, and I think that's what makes all of this so intriguing. Is it's complicated and there's no one answer.
Yeah.
There's no easy button, and that's what makes the difference of figuring out, all right, what is that mental state? And I'm fairly analytical about those things, because I'll look at the mental state that I was in, or if I'm working with somebody, and say, all right, this was the mental state you were in. This is how your race went. Let's look at everything.
Yeah.
How much sleep did you get the night before? What did you eat? What did you eat that morning? What was your pre-race setup? Were you hurried? Was everything organized so you weren't freaked out as you were coming to the line?
That's a big one.
and basically take that whole, talked about it with Max Gersten about baking cakes. We bake a lot of cakes, right? Every race is a cake.
Yeah.
So
there's so much that goes into it.
yeah, how did your cake come out that day? And it starts from the very beginning. It starts from the ingredients of what you ate, how you felt, what was your state of mind.
And one little ingredient, and the whole cake's just it's disgusting.
This is a shitty cake.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, and I think that's, having that analytical mindset to look at it and try to recreate that cake, that ingredients. And it gives you, just like you do with your writing skills, it gives you that home to come back to.
Yeah.
Your general home position on your bike, whereas all the chaos is going, you're trying to get back into that position. And that position may change. As you know, as you're going faster in an enduro, that body is more further forward. If you're in the hard enduro or more enduro situation, your body may be further backwards, but at that time where it needs to be. And as you get chucked left, chuck right, up, down, you're always fighting back to that center.
Yeah.
So for me, how is the mental side any different?
Yeah. I've never looked at it like that. It's very interesting.
You're in a state of mind, and you're trying to keep that state of mind in the most optimum position, just like you're writing. So again, you're really trying to nail that down.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that has been the biggest battle for me. And I don't know, it's hard to hit it. Some people, just like people telling you to have that strong state of mind, mental toughness, mental strength. It's kind of,
it's a little hard to do.
Hard. It's hard to do, and a lot of people misinterpret it. I know for myself, one of the changes has been, and this is whether you're riding with recreational riding or you're racing, is people get really competitive, and obviously if people are dirt bike racers or any racer, you're typically competitive with other people, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, I've really shut that down.
Yeah.
And I'm essentially competing against or with what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm competing with.
You're going against yourself is kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. Because look at this. And this is another thing I like to look at is, if you have, say your riding ability is an 8, you consider it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
You go out and you race or ride. If you ride an 8 for your race, I bet you're pretty stoked.
Yeah.
Because usually what happens, if you're mentally not there or things go wrong,
Yeah.
you may literally ride a 5.
Yeah. And
is that
sure.
the most annoying? I mean,
that is annoying. And that's like kind of what happened in Texas is I went out and I rode so bad, and I'm like, I know I can ride so much better than this. And there's guys that they'll beat me at the races, and I know deep down that like I have more skill than they do. Not trying to sound cocky or anything, but they're just so much more confident and kind of, they have everything so much better together. They just kind of have a more solid program, I guess you could say, going to the races. And yeah,
I know you're 100%
Yeah.
right, and it's not a cocky thing at all. And you have it with many different sports. There are people that practice better,
yeah,
that are more talented, but then when the gate drop or the clock starts, certain people are able to perform.
yeah.
And
It's also just performing under pressure.
That's right.
Like in Endurocross, having like that crowd out there and everyone watching, and it's not like you're getting just sent out in the middle of nowhere. No one's out there watching or anything like that. It's like that's the real deal. Like everyone's watching you. It's kind of a lot of pressure.
Do you definitely get more excited when you have a crowd cheering? Does it change your mindset?
For sure.
Yeah.
And even at like a hard enduro, when you like make it up that gnarly hill or just something like that, and you got all the guys on the sideline, they're cheering for you. Or like at TKO, you got the guys on the side, they're all drinking beer, and they all got their shirts off because it's so hot out, and you like make it up this gnarly hill, and they're like, yeah, like that's awesome.
Yeah, there wasn't any shirts off at TKO at Texas this
Definitely
year.
not.
There'd have been some frozen nipples.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a lot of shivering.
Sure. Oh yeah.
No, it does. And I mean, it's proven that when you have a crowd influence and people, there's a natural step up of it can either be anxiety or a betterment of performance.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's that settling the mind that you're tuned into your own program. And yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. And that's what has really pushed me to go as far as I've had is when I first started the racing, it wasn't that I lost to other people. It was that I rode so poorly in comparison to my own capabilities.
Yeah.
So if I was a 6 rider, I rode a 3.
Yeah.
And that disgusted me. It's like, why, if I could just go out on any day without a race and race the same terrain at a 6, how come in a race I'm at a 3? That's horrible.
For sure. That's like the worst feeling ever.
It is.
How come you think you did it because you were in your head, or because the cake just wasn't baked right that day? There's an ingredient that was missing. What do you think?
I think it's all in your head.
Yeah.
It's 100% in your head.
Yeah.
100% in your head. Because I'm not talking about setting up this awesome ride.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden I'm Graham Jarvis today. That is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody, that is never going to happen. But and again, this is what came to competing against your own capability, is that my goal is, if I'm an 8, is to ride an 8 that day. That's my goal.
Yeah. Just riding to your
potential.
Yeah. To your capabilities.
So if you think about that, it's not that the track is different or anything's different. It's just go ride at your average. And that's all you're asking yourself. And then I think that takes some of the pressure off as well, because you're not asking yourself to do a Graham Jarvis ride.
Yeah.
Or to do something incredible, because your development and that number as an average will increase with your training.
Yeah.
So whether you're a trail rider or you're racing anything, being able to ride that consistent skill level is, to me, that's the goal. And you go out, and if you're with that mindset in the race and you race an 8 and you race at your capability, you'll probably have the best result possible.
Yeah, for sure. It's
for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it gets so tough that you want to race against other people. And
sure.
You're really not.
Yeah.
Because say you have an arch enemy or someone you really want to beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really irrelevant, because if you didn't have that arch enemy, it would just be somebody else.
Yeah.
You could remove their name and there would be another name. So the only thing that's consistent is you.
Yeah, for sure. It's totally right. And then somebody always tells me before the race, like, ride like you know you can. And I guess that kind of made sense to me, but not really. But now it kind of does. Yeah, ride like you know you can. Just, yeah, ride in an 8 if you know you're an 8, just like you're talking about.
Yeah,
So.
there's a certain calmness. I came up with something that was, you're only as fast as you are.
Yeah.
And anytime you go and try and ride faster than that,
It's not gonna be good.
it's not going to be good.
No,
You're probably going to take a dirt nap.
Yeah.
Or that can happen anyways. But
I mean, you want to push your limits, but not too much. Yeah, push them to where you know you can push them.
For sure.
Yeah.
And again, if that's the goal of putting in your best performance, it's kind of an interesting feeling, because all of a sudden everyone else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the state of mind I've hit.
It's just you and the bike.
Or I try to hold on to, because
Yeah.
it's tough. I mean, again, it's like being on the bike and you're getting thrown all around and you're trying to home in. It's the same mentally, because trying to keep in mind that, hey, someone's behind me, someone's in front of me, someone's in my way, that no, I'm doing my program.
Yeah.
To do it how I know how to do it.
Yeah,
And
for sure. And
let the cards fall.
Yeah. And when you're thinking about that competitor and you're thinking about that guy in front of you, you're not thinking, like, you're not reminding yourself, okay, toes on the pegs, butt back, if you're in a hard enduro.
Yeah.
You're not reminding yourself those things. You're not focusing on your form. You're not focusing on riding right. You're focusing on that guy ahead of you and the consequences of if you don't catch him. That's like for my first year of Endurocross, I struggled with this a lot, and I kind of struggled with it this year in Endurocross too, is I would go into the sections and I would think to myself the consequences of if I mess the section up, not going into the section reminding myself, okay, it's get my toes back, my butt back, just doing it correctly, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Because thinking about the other person doesn't take you in the right direction.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't even have to be another person, just the consequence of if you mess it up. Just like hitting the jump on a motocross track. If you're hitting the jump and you're thinking, oh man, what if I crash? What if I crash? You're not thinking like how to stay loose on the jump and all that and how to correctly hit it. You're thinking about, crashing. And that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. You think about bad things happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Endurocross, did you do pretty much the entire?
I did the whole series this year and last year.
Wow.
And I'll do it again. So, yeah, it's a fun series for sure. It's similar to hard enduro. You got the gnarly obstacles. It's just so much more intense. And it's fun for sure. It's mentally challenging for me personally, at least. But yeah, I'm hitting it hard and training for that. We got a track out in Apache Junction out there at a buddy's house, and it's been doing that for 2 years now at his house. Just go out there every few months and kind of with the skid steer kind of fix it up, because it's always getting hammered from the rain and stuff. And so, yeah, right now I'm not hitting it too hard because Endurocross is still a little far away, but kind of as probably May and June, kind of as that comes up, I'll be out there every day and not focusing as much on like practicing for AMRA and other series like that.
Gotcha. Do you think the Endurocross helps with the hard enduro? Or they complement each other pretty well?
Maybe, because you got some really good Endurocross riders that aren't great hard enduro riders, but it's kind of like the form is similar as far as getting through gnarly sections, but as far as conserving your energy and things like that, it's a lot different, definitely.
Yeah, so how long are the motos usually?
It depends. Like a pro main is 15 laps, and then like an amateur mains 5 laps, and then like the heat races and stuff for the pros are also 5 laps. Pretty much everything. So it's all 5 laps except for the pro mains.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And even after 5, you have the ability.
So
you're smoked.
Yeah. You're so like pumped up, and yeah, and it kind of comes with just staying loose out there.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of working on that too this season, but.
So smoked, but are you talking arm pump?
Yeah, you're just kind of pumped up, and if you're not breathing, which a lot of people they struggle with that out there, as dumb as that sounds, is you're not breathing in the obstacles, and you're just like holding your breath the whole time, and then you get off the track and you're like out of breath, and you're like, why am I out of breath? It's just not focusing on breathing.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me about the breathing. If you look at, say, guys like Ryan Dungey in Supercross with some of the best training and everything that the guy goes through, still Carlos on his pit board at time to time has breathe written, so the top guys in the world have to be reminded to.
It's such an important thing that people forget about.
Relax and breathe.
It's so important. But yeah, and it's hard because you can't just be out there the whole time just telling yourself breathe, because then you're not focusing on having proper form going into obstacles. So I've wrestled with the terms, like, say, the mental toughness. That one really hasn't been too much of an issue with me, but being smooth, or not holding on to the bars too tight, and it's a big one. And it's funny because it's kind of like the mental toughness thing. It's like, well, what is smooth? Like, you can go into the components of it of what makes smooth, but it's a little different for everybody. And just saying it isn't good enough. It's like saying a word expecting that it's going to do something. If you don't know the ingredients of that word and what that word means and what you need to do to make that word happen, for sure,
then it's just a word.
Yeah, definitely.
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
It's just a word.
Yeah.
If you don't know the ingredients of how to compress it and how to put it together to get what you want out of it, then it's just a word.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Definitely right about that one.
But it's cool to see, obviously, again, putting the ingredients together for the cake, which I think obviously in the racing and as it becomes even more elite racing, definitely makes all the difference. But I think it transfers over just even to people recreational riding and enduro riding. Is there's no doubt the better you get and the better form you have, the funner it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's not as fun when you're just pushing your bike up the side of the mountain or just going super slow on a trail. Struggling and being last and dog paddling everywhere. And I mean, I know dudes that all they do is just push their bikes up hills, and they're good riders, but they don't have it all there, but they're still having fun because they're just so positive about it all the time. Yeah. There's this guy at Rev Limiter, and it was on the prologue. He was the last one to finish the prologue, and his bike and everything was just. His bike was covered in mud, but he was missing plastics. Everything was broken, bent bars, bent radiators. And
was he wearing like a yellow fireman's kind of jacket on a Yamaha?
No, but I know that guy. Yeah. This guy's name is Bo. But he just always has a smile on his face no matter what the situation is. And he's just so positive all the time and just always having fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if he was out there forever. Like he was smoked for sure, and he was tired, but he was smiling through it. And there's this photo of him on the internet, and he's like pushing his bike up this hill, but you can see through his helmet he's smiling still. And he's like laughing through it. It's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of all the harder riding, the hard enduro riding, that's what makes it so fun, is that it's difficult and it challenges you to the point that you have really fond memories of it.
Yeah.
That even though it was gritty and rough, it's still cool that the guys were getting through it.
Yeah. No, and it's awesome. And I mean, some of those guys, I mean, I think they're just stoked to like be riding the same course as the top guys in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's awesome. I mean, for me, I remember kind of first coming into the hard enduro and Endurocross, just being out on the same course as the top guys in the world was like such a cool feeling to me. But
it's really unique.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it several times. You look at Supercross, you can have a local guy or a local legend that's just incredible, blows everyone away, and they can't get in the door for a Supercross show. And the skill levels and the level is so high. But you look at hard enduro and Endurocross, you sign up, you have the opportunity to ride the same course, like you said, as the top guys in the world. And it makes the accessibility to everyone.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to work at it and try it, and I mean, that's essentially what I've done. I've worked my ass off at it, and all of a sudden you start moving up, and it's accessible to anyone, really.
It's an awesome feeling. And you kind of start out, like I remember when I started Endurocross, I was at the bottom, just kind of at the bottom of the amateur rankings, and kind of moved more and more up. And then like the last few rounds, I remember I raced in the pro class, and it was like I was finishing up with these guys that last year I'd looked up to. And so that was kind of a cool feeling.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
So did you feel do you think your stress level increased, decreased, or stayed the same going up to the pro class? Because I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I have a guess of where it went.
Oh, it was way down.
Yeah.
And, I knew that's what your guess was.
Yeah.
And I think that's because...
And I know why. I think.
Well, for me, I think it was because I didn't expect myself to do that well in pro.
Yeah.
And when I would race amateur, I was like, okay, I know I can win. And if I don't win, then that's just like, I messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in pro, I was just I just went out there and almost kind of winged it to an extent. And I feel like I actually went out there, and like we discussed earlier, I think I was in an 8, and I rode it in 8, you know?
Yeah.
I rode to my full potential. To where an amateur, I was just kind of so screwed up in my head, like, okay, I need to win.
Yeah.
To where I wouldn't ride to my full skill level.
Yeah, that was my guess. And my thought behind it is, I've been there as well, is if you're competing against, again, and I've done it the same, if you are competing against, whether it's the guys you trail ride that you're at similar levels, or you're competing against guys at your level, you've already essentially failed because you've decided you have to crush them and beat them, and you quit thinking about your own capabilities and you started thinking about them and just about the result, not about the ingredients to make the result.
Yeah.
And so then you go out there with that mindset. And when you're riding, either training with guys who you know are just friggin' awesome, you know, like you're riding with I'm fortunate to ride every year with Paul Bolton for a significant, usually 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I have I'm so calm because I know the guy's awesome. And so I'm not trying to compete with him. All I'm simply trying to do is ride the best that I can. And I think it's the exact same thing as, you know, for myself as well. You know, I raced in the pro class, and I know that I'm not going to beat Cody Webb.
Yeah.
Let's just say it. I'm not going to beat him. So it takes that monkey off my back.
Yeah. It's and you're not expecting yourself to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I change that expectation to ride the best that I can.
Yeah.
And that's my focus. And then there's a result. All of a sudden I have the best result I've ever had. And they keep doing that by just focusing on. And some people read it wrong, like, oh man, you know, aggressive or focused or grumpy or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm just I'm focusing on being the best that I can be to ride to my capabilities.
For sure.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's all you really can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But man, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you ride to your full capability, I don't care what your result is, you rode a good race.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why it's cool to see. And I hope as this grows, you know, I'm really pushing. That's part of the reason we've done the podcast is I want to see more people get into riding and racing, whether it's C class, B class, A class, because it is an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing to take your riding and to challenge yourself. And again, I look at it from the viewpoint of, from my own experience, is not necessarily the idea of competing against other people, trying to see how close you can come to matching your capabilities.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's satisfying. You go out and ride a race and you ride it at your current skill level, and who knows, maybe you get a little extra, but you're pretty stoked.
Yeah.
But I can, as you know, and I know, man, if you put in a performance and you're riding currently at an 8 and you put in a 6,
no, it's just not.
You're not happy because you didn't even meet your own current level.
Yeah, and it's
not good.
Honestly, for me, I feel like there's very little races to where I went out and I can actually say, yeah, I rode to my full potential today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, which it needs to happen more for sure. Yeah.
Right on. I don't know. Maybe we can work on some mental cues.
Definitely.
For sure.
For sure.
Well, there's no doubt, you know, you have the skills. I remember meeting you, I think last year, and then seeing obviously some of your Instagram stuff, and man, you have skills. No doubt about it. It's just piecing it together.
Yeah.
The entire cake.
Yeah. And it's tough because, you know, I'll watch these videos of myself and then I'll tell myself, okay, if I can do that, just out playing around, I can do that in a race too. No matter what it is.
For sure.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't really work out like that. But yeah, I know that the skill's there. Everything just needs to come together. So
well, that's exciting. And I think it will. As long as you're aware and you're not oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Bringing these ingredients together.
Yeah. It's not just going out and it's not just about putting it down and going as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is, but there's other things that come with it.
Not really. You know, I think it's having that more of a long-term, bigger goal. And that's another thing that helps me as well, is I typically have a bigger goal down the line, and I'll find it even because similar to you, I'll race enduro as well, and I'll do some national hare and hounds. So typically not a big speed guy, just to take me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. But
I'll tell you, doing those races, since I know that race is part of a bigger goal, I don't get as freaked out. And so in the middle of the race, I'll be thinking about a corner of where my toe is, where my leg is, where my elbows are in the middle of a race.
Yeah.
And that's changed.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking, man, I just got to rip it. I'm actually thinking of form during a race, which helps to some extent. And I think the reason that has happened is because I'm thinking about, I'm doing this for a bigger goal.
Yeah.
And if you break it down like that, then, hey, this is important at the time, but it doesn't get that importance level that overshadows the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where you spaz out and, you know, bad things happen, or you don't ride to your potential. And again, it takes some confidence to just know that, hey, if you follow your technique of where you're currently at, that the result will show that.
Yeah. And I tell myself that all the time is, it's like, okay, years down the road, this race really won't matter. The result won't matter. Like it's going to be fine. It's just all one big goal, and everything just will kind of come together. If that makes sense. I don't know.
No, it does. Yeah. It does make sense. I think it does help having a bigger goal. Like, whether it's 6 months, 12 months down the line of something you're shooting for. And again, eventually that goal is going to show up.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to fight that battle when you get there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I think it is good training if you're working your way up to it.
Yeah.
Of, hey, race is important, but your progress is even more important. And again, I think for me, that's a way to kind of trick myself to not get too amped up.
Yeah.
And so far, I got to say, I've been pretty happy with the results.
Yeah.
Because at least you're hitting your own marks.
Yeah.
And, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And I think that's what's cool with bringing, again, other people into racing, even just beginning for the first time, is just come out and match your own program.
Yeah.
It's not about scorching everybody else.
It's just about, at that point, if it's your first time, it's just about going out and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out and see if you can match your capability.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
What other things do you think you'd like to, so you're doing obviously hitting the hard enduro series, you're hitting the Endurocross series. Looking out further, some of maybe other bigger races, etc. Kind of what's your dreamscape?
I think it'd eventually be really cool to go race some of the races in Europe. Right now, I can't really say there's like another series I wish I was doing, because I'm already so busy with everything. Like having Amber one weekend and then a hard enduro another weekend, and then kind of in the middle of all that, it's just part of the year. But Endurocross is pretty much back-to-back weekends just for so long. But definitely Europe, going out there, doing Erzberg, maybe Romaniacs one day.
Right on.
Sea to Sky, that'll be really cool to do eventually. But like, man, I'm racing almost every weekend right now pretty much, so I'm already so busy. There's not really any other series I feel like I can possibly do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're putting in the work, and I think those things will come online, and I think people should know too. I mean, when we talk about commitment, you are doing online homeschool to be able to do this. You're doing some trade school work too.
Yep.
Getting set up.
Yeah.
And you've kind of foregone the typical high school experience.
That whole high school experience, that's in the trash. It's gone. But I wouldn't throw away anything. I wouldn't throw away any of this for anything. It's so much fun, and I've met so many great people doing this, and like I don't really have any like high school friends, if that makes sense. Like there's some people my age that I'm friends with just through racing, but as far as like going out and partying, none of that's going on. Just like your typical high school kid, and it's definitely didn't have like a normal teenage life for sure.
When did you decide to take this path? Like, as far as, did this happen something when you're 14, 15?
Probably around 14, 15. I would probably say around the time when I started doing Endurocross. That was like my first time being out in like a big series like that. And
how old were you?
I was 14.
Really? Wow.
My first Endurocross I was 14. I didn't do very well, but
dude, you were 14.
I know.
It's okay.
My second one I was 15, and I did a little better at that one. But yeah, it was around that time where I was kind of watching like Cody and Colton and all these big names and saying like, okay, these guys, they're doing it for a living. That's possible. Not saying it's gonna happen, but it's definitely a goal for sure. It'd be cool to be able to do it for a living one day, like Cody and Colton and Graham Jarvis and Billy Bolt, all those guys. Even if you're just doing like some sort of side job, but you're still going to the races like they are and being in that top spot.
No, it has value. So I have to ask. So you made this choice, you made this commitment, and maybe it's an opportunity to dump on people or not dump on people. But I got to ask, so doing this from 14 to 17, you've foregone the classic high school experience, which I have no idea what that's like now with social media and all the crazy shit I hear with all the entitlement and this and that. But you've taken an alternate path, and to me that shows an amazing amount of discipline and dedication and sacrifice to some extent for, say, young guys, kids that are 16, 17. When you meet them, you're around them, does it seem different? Like a 17-year-old that goes to high school and your program?
They're pretty annoying. Yeah, they're just, I don't know. There's a lot of kids I know just from when I used to go to school that they're actually pretty motivated people. They do have jobs and they get good grades in school, but there's also very bad ones too.
Yeah.
But a lot of them just don't have a great work ethic or anything like that. But I mean, a lot of them do too. It's mixed. And I feel like people always are complaining about kids my age and the new generation. But realistically, I feel like even for the older generation, when, they're my age, there's kids that just like now were good and bad. I could be wrong, but
no, I think that's probably a fair call.
Yeah, and the whole social media thing, I mean, I'm not too involved with that around. I'm only dirt bikes on social media. That's all I see is just dirt bike stuff. So I guess I couldn't really answer that question. But yeah, I mean, it is true, like, kids are glued to their phones all day. And I'll even admit myself, I'm on it a lot, probably more than I should be. And I see adults that are also on it a lot more than they should be.
That is correct.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, like, I use social media and my phone as like a tool to meet people. Like you and I, we met through social media.
Yeah.
And
people doing interesting things.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm the same. I am only dirt bikes on social media.
No, I don't see anything else.
There's nothing else.
Totally cool. That's what I'm on there for.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any other stuff.
People say like all the scams and the fake people on social media. And it's like, well, I don't see any of that. So I just only see videos of people doing cool things on dirt bikes. So
yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
So again, that commitment, I think that's really cool. And things have changed a bit. I think we'll continue to see them change.
Yeah.
80s, 90s, a lot of people went to college almost like it was high school.
Uh-huh.
And now the college tuitions have increased to such a point that people get done. They have huge school loans, come out and make $30,000-$40,000 a year, where the guy can go and become a diesel trade school mechanic and make six figures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think, obviously for formal education, if someone wants to be a lawyer, doctor, etc., engineer, you're going to have to jump through the hoops of the dog and pony show of a formal education.
Oh yeah.
But I think we're going to see a lot of that change for people who are more focused and have an idea of what they want to do, because that's not the answer for everyone. And I know for a fact, you look at the changes in healthcare, a lot of GP, general practitioners, maybe make $100,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
Well, you can go to 2 years of school for a diesel mechanic and make more.
Yeah.
I think it just depends if you're and I think you mentioned this in the discussion before, if your key goal is to help people, etc., then that's a great thing. And that's a fit. But if not being on call and having more time and being focused on, other things is more your deal, then whether it's a trade school of various, HVAC, you name it. And a lot of them are skilled trade schools. So the money's there. So I think there's a lot of options. I don't know that right now that a tertiary education, like college, is exactly the necessity for everyone to obtain their goals.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I don't know if I'm going to go to college, honestly. And growing up, I always told myself I was going to, and I think that's just because my parents were really pushing me to do it.
Because that's what everybody says.
Yeah, just everyone says go to college, go to college. But right now, I'm going to school for HVAC, and I mean, who knows? Maybe like I know a lot of people that make a lot of money doing that, and I won't be in debt. I'll just right out of high school, I can go do it if I want. It's pretty easy. And you know, you're making good money too. And it's just, I feel like just going to school for 4 years to get a job that actually you didn't even learn anything in school doing that's related to that job, that I just feel like it's not worth it.
You go sit in a cubicle somewhere.
Yeah, it's just not what I want to do.
It doesn't sound very fun, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So hey, out there, we're not necessarily all against college. All I'm trying to say is there's other options to get the job done.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it has to depend on the individual and what they want to take care of.
Yeah.
And it's hard in sports too. When you start seeing Supercross teams signing people when they're 12 years old, 13 years old, that's crazy. It's crazy.
It's so much pressure for a little kid.
Heck
When
yeah.
I was 12, that would have been a lot of pressure. I mean, I would have been stoked, but at the same time, it would have been a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it just shows that those younger years are so precious.
Yeah.
Of, you know, whether you're doing one thing or the other.
And
you know, if
you kind of get burnt out quick, as you know, if you're 12 years old and racing, like, and you have all these deals and stuff like that. When I was 12, I was just kind of first starting out, and I was so eager and so excited to progress and learn. And I know a lot of 12-year-olds that like they've been racing their whole life and they don't really like it because they've been pushed so hard. So they're not eager. So in those future years when they start turning 16 or 17, they might not be as good of a rider as they could be because they were kind of burnt out.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
You know, for sure.
You can develop quickly, or you can become sour on it and change it up. But again, I think, you know, you look at your long-term dreams and what you want to do, and there's a lot of people doing boring shit in this world. So if you want to do something different, why not?
Yeah. These freaking boring desk jobs. Don't want to do that for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't go just sit at the same desk every day and do the same thing. I mean, even if you're like doing a trade, at least you're doing something different. You're up, you're getting around, you're doing things.
Yeah. Moving around.
Yeah.
Moving around for sure.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not healthy to just sit in a desk chair all day.
No. No, not at all. Not at all. I think you're doing the opposite. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, which is, you know, that's part of why I wanted to have you on. You know, it gives a young perspective. I've met a few young guys that are taking the charge. Another guy, Suf Sella, he's from Israel, and I think he's 15 going on 16. He's finished bronze Romaniacs, a silver Romaniacs, the Sea to Sky, and he's just one of those kids. And he's
that's awesome.
Definitely mentally strong.
Yeah.
And kind of like you, he's working on everything. He does enduro, he does GP stuff, he does trials, and obviously hard enduro. And I think hard enduro is his love. But again, it's that new breed that's coming up through, that's training all the disciplines to be a great hard enduro rider.
Yeah, it just comes down to this great rider. And I don't know what Colton Haker exactly did as a kid, but I think he did trials in motocross.
Yeah. And
now he's just like this insanely technical rider that's also super aggressive. And so for Endurocross, he's so aggressive out there, and it's so intense. I think just like the combo of those two skills just made something great for for Endurocross.
Yeah, he has the ingredients. I've had the opportunity to ride with him a few times and get to know him a little bit. It showed in his film Rare Exception.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I think he did trials in motocross.
Yeah, it was badass.
Yeah,
it was badass. It was a great movie.
Oh yeah,
Colton, it was great. We enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it was so sweet. It wasn't just like any other moto movie. They're just out there hitting ruts and doing whips.
Exactly. I think that was the point. I think the only constructive is you're watching it, and I was enjoying it so much. And the way even though they did the great scene on the ridge, it just ended. And I thought, well, that was kind of an abrupt, crappy ending. But then I have to think, here's the reason why it was kind of an abrupt, and it wasn't a crappy ending, but you're so stoked by the whole film. I think you didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
And it just ended. But you know why it had an abrupt ending? Because the movie isn't over yet. Because that's only volume 1. I mean, dude, he's still crushing it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take off, and I hope he does another one. And I think that's the only reason it was abrupt is because that dude isn't done.
Yeah.
It isn't like, well, he like retired and moved off. It's like the reason it ended abrupt is because it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Not over yet.
This is a really cool film, and it's so crazy. I mean, he races full time, but you also he went out and produced a movie. That's not easy to do.
I like it.
That was
definitely motivated.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. From what I've seen, obviously had a moto background when he was very young, and then went into the trials, and the dude's paid his dues. 2 broken clavicles, other broken stuff, and I don't know if he invented that 360 off of a mound. I think he did. It's cool.
I remember watching that. I don't know how old I was when I watched it. I was when he did it on the Honda for the first time. I was a little kid, and I was like, that's so cool. And that's kind of why I make Instagram videos, and I try to film as many videos as possible to post on Instagram, because when I was a little kid, I'd always watch these videos of the pros, and it'd make me so stoked to go riding. And if I could just do that for just one kid, it'd be awesome.
Oh, I think you have, and I think Colton's done that for a lot of people. And
oh yeah.
I hope it's not lost on these guys, the guys like Colton, Jarvis, all those guys. It makes everybody else, we see those videos and we see what they do, and it just makes you want to step up your game.
Oh yeah.
I don't care who you are. And you may never be able to do exactly what they're doing, but I tell you, it's in your mind.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, you know what? Hey, maybe I can push it a little bit further.
Yeah.
I can push it a little bit further.
Definitely.
And your videos, there's no doubt. I see you do some stuff as well, and it's like, wow, man, it's reaching out. It's reaching out to somebody.
Yeah.
And even for yourself, I hope people don't take it for granted, because it is helping someone else out. And I think part of the reason people are getting so much better at the sport is because of there's a lot of negatives of social media, but one of the positives, you see all of this content of people doing amazing things. It pushes other people to do amazing things.
Yeah, definitely.
You see these flip 180s on guys running the motards.
Yeah.
And just insane stuff.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I think I pushed myself to become a better rider, is watching these guys on social media and just like telling myself, I want to be able to do that one day. Or I'd watch videos like some of the local guys down at like the Canyon Endurocross track. Yeah. And they'd be doing this like really sweet lines in the matrix or in the rock sections, and I'd be like, I want to do that one day. And then now I kind of am. I'm not there yet. I'm still working on it, but yeah.
Still baking the cake?
Yeah, for sure.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Some cakes take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome. I was so bummed when Billy Bolt got hurt.
Oh, yeah, me too.
When that dude came on the scene,
man, his videos are so sick.
I just have to say, when he rides, it seems like he's got that hand on the throttle, and it's just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I mean, he's just like so aggressive and just puts it out that it's It's gnarly, man.
And it just seems like he's having so much fun with it too.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I don't know if he's been riding dirt bikes that long. I think he was on trials.
I thought he was pretty much all trials.
Yeah, and then he just kind of transferred over. I don't know exactly his background, but that seems how it was. That seems how it is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, what blows me away is you take all these guys that are so supremely talented. Colton Haker, Cody Webb, Billy Bolt, just the list goes on. Johnny Walker, Taddy Blazusiak, and you put them in these hard enduros. And when you see Graham Jarvis just walk on by,
yeah,
and next thing you know, he's standing on the top of the podium, it makes you wonder, like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just wow. I mean, whatever's in his cake.
Yeah, it was baked correctly for sure.
Is amazing.
I think that was just the trials, but I don't think there's any secret there. Just everyone knows like how much that helps.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But, he wasn't, I don't think he was at the, like Dougie Lambkin was, as far as getting on the trials podium, he didn't do as well. I mean, he was always a contender, but he wasn't like
he wasn't ever like a Tony Bow.
No,
he was just killing it everywhere.
As far as I know, from what I've seen, I mean, he was always in the mix, but he wasn't that necessarily always that top podium guy. There were, he was somewhere down a bit, but there's no doubt when he got onto the dirt bike, his ground speed is increased and increased and increased. And, you just hear from the outside that, I've met him a few times and we've hung out a few times for breakfast in Romania, and he's a pretty quiet guy. So you don't get a lot out of him.
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting having breakfast and he just looked over, he goes, "I think I saw a wolf." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, just across the track, saw a wolf." And I was right on, man.
Oh, that's funny.
But no, he definitely he has the right ingredients for the cake for sure.
Maybe it's that experience. I don't know.
Again, well, you don't really ever see him flustered.
No, he's just always calm. And we were talking about that earlier, just how calm, just staying calm all the time.
Yeah,
staying collective.
But that bike always keeps moving forward.
Yeah, no matter what.
Well, I think the exponential of being calm, and it's how I've come to describe it for myself, is if you're calm and in control of your emotions, your heart rate, and all of those things, and also that you've been training correctly. You know, your cardio and your diet and everything's on point. If you're able to control those things and keep moving through those harder sections, when you come up to the top, you're not smoked and you actually feel like going. Where if you go the other way, and then if you have the cardio and the fitness to get to the top without stopping, it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you're doing pivot, tic-tac turns, if you're still moving, it's faster. And then when you get to the top, you've typically saved, who knows, 30, 40% of the energy.
Yeah.
Because you kept moving and you didn't have to restart. You didn't have to reposition. And then you get to the top and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're smoked. And you continue on to the next one, compared to exponentially unraveling the other way, where if you have to push, you pick a bad line, now you're tired, now you get to the top and you're smoked, and then it just continues to unravel the other direction.
Yeah.
So you have two exponentially different directions where you can snowball one way in a good way or snowball one way in a bad way. And I think, again, it's figuring out, and Graham Jarvis, I think, is definitely the master of it.
Yeah.
Of exponentially moving forward.
For sure.
Efficiency, good line selection, not making silly mistakes.
Yeah. Maybe at this point he's just like, oh, it's just another race because he's done so many.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe.
Again,
he just knows what to do.
Again, he's had a lot of starts.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And a lot of finishes.
Yeah, I have no idea how many. He's won, 4 Erzbergs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he should have won 2 or 3 more that he missed a checkpoint that was somewhat of a dodgy recall. I think.
Yeah.
There was some confusion about it. But
yeah, don't know exactly, but I do know he's won a lot of things. So
yeah, he's amazing for sure. Well, cool, man. Well, I wanted to get you in, and it was great to get your viewpoint. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are young, and there's a lot of people that are older trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's always exciting seeing people live their dream.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do it. And for example, you bypassed high school to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, it's not like I just dropped out. I'm still homeschooled, but yeah.
Oh yeah. But again, you've made it. You're doing both.
Yeah.
You're getting it done, and you're chasing your dreams. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think there's any way I could be able to race and do high school, like go to high school
to race how you want to race.
Yeah. Like you could still show up to the local races, but you couldn't. I mean, you could do like Endurocross, you could do all these races that I'm doing, but they would be on your butt about attendance all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like even days before just traveling to the race, you're still spending like an entire day to prep your bike to get ready to go to the race.
Yeah. Until we get mechanics, which would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
A lot of work.
Yeah, I work on my bike just as much as I ride it. So.
Oh, I know. I tell you, I'd like to fire my mechanic at some point.
Fire yourself.
Which would be me. You're fired. All right, let's get the new guy in.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, where can people find you on your Instagram and?
James_Flynn_V, and then that's kind of my main thing. Post all my videos, all that on there. I do have a Facebook. It's just James Flynn. I post on there too a lot, but Instagram's like the main one for sure.
Well, excellent. Well, James Flynn, Gas regional support rider, making his way up. I look forward to seeing what you continue to do. I think I know it's going to be a climb and a success. You're going to continue to move up. So.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. Again, you can find us on Instagram at inside_enduro. Obviously, we're on YouTube, iTunes, all that good stuff. Check out our website, insideenduro.com. We'll see y'all later. Go out and ride. It's the weekend.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right. Thank you. Wow. I got to pee, too.